All right, guys, how we doing? It is Monday, and it's time for more live coaching. My biggest, number one goal today is to try and get through a whole stream without spilling my water everywhere. I've got it here. I'm going to try and put it far enough away where, I can't accidentally knock it over, but we'll see. How's everyone doing? Give me some thoughts in the chat, guys. How you doing? What do you got on this week? How's Monday going for you? Just tell me what's going on. I want to know what's going on in your world. We're going to go through some ICM spots in a moment. But first, tell me what's going on. Stylin40s, or maybe Stylin40 says, this is on YouTube, says, I got my pen and poker notes, poker nerd book ready, and my listening ears on, sitting front and center. Brilliant. Love it. Mitch Villa says, hi, Gaz. Matt Burns88 says, hi, coach. And Bowie Effect in the building says, waiting to get on a plane. I imagine you are on your way to the Bahamas, which is very exciting. Hope you have a great time. Hope you win everything out there. Matt Burns goes on to say, pretending to work while tuning in to MTT Poker School. I mean, what better way to spend your Monday afternoon? You get to 4 o'clock in the day. If you're still working, you can put on a bit of MTT Poker School and learn about tournaments. Mr. Jam 1978 says, tired today, had early morning grind, just chilling now. All right, how did it go? Hope it was good. Something I've been looking at recently actually is like when someone says to you, how did your session go? And most of the time in tournaments, like, it's not going to go that well, but you don't really want to say that, right? So the thing is that we don't really want to be results orientated, even though as humans we generally are very results orientated. You only have to listen to the press when they talk about current football situation. You know, like it was a couple of weeks ago, the media were like, oh, Manchester United are going to win the league. And Gary Neville was loving it. But Arsenal put pay to that, didn't we? What a result yesterday. Really, I'm just absolutely loving watching Arsenal play at the moment. It was only a couple of years ago I just hated watching them play. In fact, probably just last year. But now we actually look like scoring every time we attack. We look like we create chances. We can actually defend now. The only way to score against us, I mean, this is a sign of a good team, by the way. We will talk about poker in a minute, but I'm just going to get this out there. The sign of a good team is that your opponents you have to score worldies. So Rashford's goal was very good. Maybe not worldy, but it was very, very good. He's on fire at the moment. Or just like a mistake. Ramsdale flaps at it, like, not sure what he was doing. But that's a sign of a good team. So it's frustrating that, oh yeah, look at that, yeah, have to score a worldie. Yeah, they do. Rashford, nice strike from 25 yards. Ramsdale makes a mistake, gets punished. But I think that's a sign of a good team. Master the Chaos says, enjoy while it lasts. I mean, of course. Why would we not enjoy it? It's great. Matt Burns, great game of football. Love to see Arsenal back in the running for a title. And as a Newcastle fan, good to see Man United drop points. Yeah, Newcastle flying. I saw the other day, though, they've lost the same number of games as us, right? And yet they've drawn like 600 games this season already. So, got to turn some of those draws into wins. Right, let's do some studying. This is from yesterday, Bigger 55. I played a day session yesterday. So I started at about 10 o'clock and played till about 5, I guess. So this is the earlier Bigger 55, hence the the ridiculous guarantee. But there are 114 entries in this tournament, and we've got a few ICM spots to look at. I just found 5, ran them, and we'll see what's what. Corey Larson says, used to say, I played good or I made a few mistakes in today's session, then it only concerns my play. Positive mindset always. Brilliant. Yes, we're going back to what we were saying earlier about, like, how did your session go? And you want to say, like, did you play well? Did you mark some hands? Did you focus on the things that you could control so that you're getting better for next time? Because that's really all you should focus on. If you start focusing on, like, how much you win, how much you lose, how, you know, what position, like, let's say that we get to the end of our session, we're on the final table of the big 55 and we're like, right, I need second to get out of it. That's not a good place to be. So yeah, we don't want to be like that. Let's have a look. Mitch Villa, stars guaranteed are so bad now. Shame. I mean, they're like some tournaments are. This is during the day, remember, right? This is the bigger 55 during the day. To be fair, the bigger 55 in the evening on a Sunday is not that much bigger, but it's certainly better than this. But this is during the day, all right? But there are some great guarantees still. GG seems to be leading the way for guarantees, though, for sure. You could play a $55 tournament in, what is it, the Sunday 50 stack, something like that. Play like 300-400 runners, I think, on a Sunday. So just a much better tournament. Obviously, that says, look, up to 3 re-entries on GG, you can fire infinite. Bowie, yeah, you still need to be stuck even if you win. This is the way. Okay. Funny Money says, hey guys, good morning. Looking forward to this. Awesome. Right, let's get into it. Hopefully this is going to work. I've got 3 screens. I've got the main screen I'm looking at here, which is what you see, the big 55 payouts. I've got the OBS and the chat and all of that. Everything else to do with OBS and the stream running on here. And then I've got other stuff going here. Shout out to Jeremy G915 for the follow. All right, let's go for the first spot then. Now, as always, if you've ever been to one of these sessions before, we've been doing these every Monday, apart from Boxing Day. Decided to have at least, spend some time with my family. Been doing these every Monday for 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks maybe. And I'm going to post a link in a minute. So don't say what you would do yet. Don't say what you would do. R Blue says hi on Twitch. How's it going? Because I'm going to send you a link for this. And so here's the spot. I'll describe it, and then I'll post the link for you guys to vote. In fact, I can post the link now. So I'll post the link in Twitch and on YouTube, depending on where you're watching. So this is the bubble, all right? So there's 20 paid. There are 21 left, and the biggest stack at the table opens, and we've got jacks on the button with 27 big blinds. Now, I think there are 4 options here. We can go past those in a moment. But what I want you to tell me is, do you like a fold here, a call, a 3-bet to 5.5 bigs, or a jam? So click on that link and vote. And we've already started to get some votes coming through. What's going on here? I had this looking really nice earlier on. I know what we've done. Let's do this instead. Yes, I think this is going to work now. Is this better? Yes, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful chart. Right, so no one's folding. All right, fair enough. We've got mainly votes for call, some votes for 3-bet, and 1 vote for jam. If you've just joined the stream and you don't have the link, quickly type in the chat. Send me the link so that I can send you the link, and you can vote for what you would do in this spot. Because it's an interesting one, right? Because our risk premium on the direct bubble, I can't remember what position we were in. Let's take the Menti results off a minute. We're 12th of 21 currently, right? And fake player, there you go. There's the link. Thanks for posting. We're 12 of 21. There's definitely some shorter stacks here. So our risk premium against this player is going to be somewhat high. Okay. Let's, I'm going to see if this works. Oh, we still got votes coming in, actually. If I forget to take the results off in a minute when I'm showing you the sim and you can't see the sim properly, which happened a few weeks ago, please somebody just put a message in the chat rather than, like just bombarding me with, I can't see it. All right, look at that. Oh, it actually worked. Brilliant. Right, here's the Jack's hand then. Okay, so we're going to take these results off. So mainly everyone's going for a call, some 3-betting, and a little bit of jamming. All right, so here's the solution. I wonder if we can... I don't know if we can make this a bit bigger. There we go. That looks all right. Bowie says probably just stick it in, eh? All right, well, let's see. So first of all, let's just remind ourselves of the spot. So this is the chip leader opening. Chip leader should be opening very wide here because everyone's risk premium against him is really high, especially the guy in the small blind. So he just gets to open really, really wide, and we are going to see how we respond in this spot. So as you can see, this is their opening range. 40% of hands, kind of like a chip EV cutoff, loose-ish cutoff, quite loose actually, cutoff opening range. But yeah, seems to be reasonable. And then let's have a look at our strategy. So our strategy, you can see pocket tens. This is the last one I've got running, so it might not be ready by the time we get in there. Where are we? Jacks is mainly a jam. So 61.6% jams, 21.9% 3-bet to 5.5 bigs, and 16.5% calls. I actually called in game, but I think it's really good to see that other options are available. So yeah, let's have a look at the other jamming hands. Queens wants to jam quite a lot. So the reason that this, that our induce range is literally kings plus, I mean, kings is even flatting sometimes here, but it's basically kings plus ace king suited. If we did induce with jacks and tens, we would be calling against a 4-bet jam. We'll talk about that in a moment though, because that obviously relies on somebody being aware that they're supposed to rip like a lot of ace x and king x hands, right? So when our inducing range is mainly kings plus ace king suited, but our opponent should be 4-bet jamming lots of suited aces and suited kings, right? If they don't do that, then the value of like calling it off with jacks and tens that you decided to 3-bet a small percentage of the time is not so good. Mitch Villa says 3-bet and call if shorty shoves. If original razor reshoves, I'd fold. Fake player says crazy how much jam as its stone bubble. Yeah, so but like the thing is that we don't want to induce. We don't get to induce that aggressively. I said I'd explain this a bit more, so let's do that. What is our bubble factor here? Button versus the opener, 16%. So what this means is that when we 3-bet and we get jammed on, whatever our odds are at that point, we need an extra 16% in order to make a break-even call. Now, that is why we're inducing a really, really strong range. It's why we want to jam a lot of hands so we take away our opponent's best response, right? Which can be to 4-bet jam and get us to fold a lot. But this is a really good sort of, I guess, education in understanding like how big your risk premium is in this spot. Let's have a look at this. 16.3. What about the big stack? Yeah, similar thing actually. Even though he's got way more chips, still 16.3%. That's really interesting actually. I have got a video on YouTube of the understanding like risk premiums and bubble factors. So just type in MTT Poker School risk premium, MTT Poker School bubble factors, and I explain it a bit more and explain like that, you need this much equity to call. Let's say you need like 40% equity to call in chip EV land, and then you need the extra risk premium equity to call. So like in this case, 16.3%. So you add those two numbers together, it becomes 56.3%. So you need a lot more equity in order to call when your risk premium is this high. Whereas if it was like middle position against under the gun, they only need an extra 2.4% because losing 15 big blinds is not, it's quite significant, but it's not as significant as us losing 27 big blinds in this spot. Chris Callahan said, it seems when we don't cover our option to jam is way more than I ever would have thought. Yeah, so again, like we want to take away our opponent's response of like 4-bet jamming, and then suddenly this risk premium comes into play, doesn't it? Because we have to call an extra, we need an extra 16% in this spot. Let me just, when we, actually, let's just go back here. when we jam, middle position against the button, 4.8%. So not insignificant, but certainly not as big as ours, right? So they need, when we jam, we can get them to fold a little bit, a little bit more, because they need 4.8% extra equity. And our jamming range is actually very, very strong. So when we do jam, their calling range becomes 10s plus ace queen. All right, so we can jam jacks because they call 10s, they call 9s sometimes. And then we're flipping against ace queen and ace king. We're also denying equity, against king queen suited. That's got quite a lot of equity against us when we've got a hand like pocket jacks. And just get them to fold, a lot of hands in this situation. Let's go back here. So something I talk about in my new book, which I can't get through a whole stream without talking about it. It's going to come up here in a minute. The book is called The Final Table. Now, this obviously isn't the final table, but the ideas about sort of understanding what your risk premium is and how that affects your strategy is something that works on the bubble, earlier in the tournament, later in the tournament, final table, so on and so forth. Kelly Ashali, I'm not sure, I probably butchered that. Thanks for the follow. Christian Bang, thanks for the follow. Ita Magic as well. Did I miss anybody else? Don't think so. Jeremy, I got Ultra. Looks like you followed just as we started this stream, maybe just slightly before. Okay. Let's. So yeah, I was talking about the ace X. I'll come and answer the questions in a moment. But we're jamming these suited wheel aces for a few reasons. They've got like pretty good characteristics as to why they want to jam. So yeah, my book The Final Table talks about these ideas. So we jam jacks because we can get called by worse. We deny equity to hands we're flipping against. So why do we jam ace-3 suited? Because we're never going to get called by worse hands when we shove ace-3 suited. The key thing here is that we're getting better hands to fold, and we block the hands that we want to call. That are going to call, not that we want to call. We don't want to call when we're shoving ace-3 suited. So we know that their range is ace-queen plus and 9s plus, right? So when we shove ace-3 suited, we block aces, we block ace-king, we block ace-queen. But we can get loads of better ace-x hands to fold. So there's a reason why, for example, ace-jack suited doesn't jam, because you're not getting any better ace-x hands to fold. You're getting all the worse ace-x hands to fold. When you jam ace-3 suited, you're getting all the better ace-x hands to fold all the way up to ace-queen. So hopefully that makes sense. Any other reasons? I mean, ace-3 suited is going to perform better against pocket pairs than the lower pocket pairs that we could shove, right? So if our opponent's going to call 9s plus, then we don't want to shove like 8s and 7s. That would be a disaster. Let's have a look. Mitch Filler says, original Razor is opening pretty wide, I guess, to put pressure on and steal chips. Yeah, they just get to open wide because everyone has a really high risk premium against them. Funny Money says, how much does it change if this was a final table? Is it still a jam? That's a really good question. I'm not 100% sure. I think so. I mean, the direct bubble. So in terms of like the risk premiums and bubble factors, they do. Is that the right way around? No, let's go this way. So we'll start down here. Okay. So risk premiums, they start very, very low. Not the over 1, but like the bubble factors 1 at the start, and it might be slightly higher. So the risk premium's like 0.2%, something like that. As we get like closer to the bubble, it does this, right? It goes up. And we get to the bubble, it's quite high. And then as soon as the bubble bursts, it drops. But it doesn't drop to 0 like my hand just has suggested. It drops to like somewhere down here, and then it ramps up again to the final table. And then on the final table, it does this kind of weird thing. And there's no risk premium once you get to heads up. What does that actually mean? Well, I mean, the thing is with this tournament specifically is that 20 players were paid. Final table's 9, right? Which means that you get into the money. Do this way again. Into the money, you drop down, but then it's not far till you get to the final table bubble again, right? Which is where the risk premium ramps up again. So I think it's probably going to be something similar, but I'm very much sitting on the fence here. All right. Mr. Jam says, because our risk premium is so high versus a big stack, I thought jacks would be more of a flat. Okay, so let's just talk about this. The problem when your risk premium is high, yes, you're in position, which is great. You definitely want to be in position here, if you can be. Obviously, if you're in the blinds, you can't be, and then that can't be helped. But your opponent, risk premium doesn't just suddenly stop pre-flop, right? Once pre-flop has finished, your opponent can still apply a ton of pressure post-flop, and so you got to factor that in as well. That's what this HRC does now. It factors in post-flop play and post-flop realization, things like that. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the chances for our opponent to apply a ton of pressure, and we still got that massive risk premium, remember, that we against this player, because we are currently 12 of 21, got a decent amount of equity in this tournament, and we don't really want to lose it. And if we are going to lose it, we want to have a significantly stronger hand than our opponent. Can you show his calling range if we shove? Sorry if you already did. Yeah, I did show it, but I'm very happy to show it again. It's 9s plus ace queen, pretty much 10s plus ace queen suited. I mean, ace queen off and 9s are, indifferent. Let's have a look. Hattie says, I've seen some sims where the low suited king x do this also. Can't remember the exact setup. Yeah, that's more when your opponent's going to be calling with king. So I'll show you an example now. So we already talked about our induced range is pretty much kings plus ace king suited. We're going to 3-bet jacks and 10s. If we do 3-bet those hands, we're not going to fold. I don't think we get to call, fairly confident we don't get to 3-bet call ace jack off, ace 10 off, and these suited aces and some suited kings down here. So what then happens is, because our opponent should be aware that our induced range is very, very tight, and then they should shove some suited kings and a lot of suited aces, as you can see, offsuit ace x in here as well. And in which, at which point we call kings plus ace king suited, but we do have to call jacks and 10s as well. So yeah, there are more extreme examples if perhaps we were deeper. I wonder if the small blind actually, yeah, because the small blind's calling range is probably just going to be a lot of ace x as well. You can see that they call with ace. Let me show you this. Yeah, I guess maybe we'll have some smaller 4-bets as well. We don't necessarily need to go all in. So yeah, it's not really showing the point I was trying to make. But anyway, are we... I think that was everything I wanted to talk about. So key thing here, I did flat. Flatting looks reasonable, but we can jam and we can 3-bet as well. But if we do 3-bet... Oh yeah, this is something else I wanted to talk about. So the 4-bet jamming range. So calling jacks and 10s and ace king suited, absolutely fine if your opponent's going to jam all of these hands. One thing I will say is that this sim doesn't look like it's run. Basically, I ran 5 sims starting this morning at 11 o'clock and only ran each one for an hour, and I think could definitely do with running for longer. But, you relying on your opponent jamming lower pairs, jamming hands like ace 10 off and suited kings, as we talked about, and all of these suited aces. Now, you come up against a recreational player. This is just not going to be the case, right? It just isn't. So what I'd recommend, we're not going to do it now, but what I would recommend is that when it comes to, and maybe we'll do it for the last hand when we get there, but when you do your own sims, see what's going on. Definitely run it for full accuracy, by the way. And then go, okay, this is an optimistic approach. There's sort of a 3 approach. So like realistic, optimistic, and pessimistic. And maybe actually like, yeah, I think this is the optimistic approach. The realistic is going to be cutting a lot of these hands out, and the pessimistic is going super tight, like they only going to shove like queens plus ace king. And just to see what the response is. Now, what you're not trying to do is to try and play perfectly like a solver. I would say that if you try and play like this in the big 55, you're going to burn money on the node where the guy 4-bet jams. That's a big statement. I am aware of that, but that's my feeling, that they're just not 4-bet shoving, enough of these hands. And as soon as you get rid of the king 5 suited, king 3 suited, king 2, king 7, it's not full frequency, right? But all of those hands are going to add up. The worst hands in our range that we end up calling, which was 10s, not loving it anymore. Not loving it at all. Let's have a look. Okay, Mr. Jam says, I'm 3-bet jamming the Chippy V for Chippy V and last 25%, but because it's direct bubble, I lean more towards flat. Okay, but you understand why that might not be right, yeah? Because your risk premium is the highest on the bubble, therefore you want to apply the pressure to your opponent rather than let them apply it to you. All right. Let's see what we've got next. I can't even remember. So as I say, I flatted here. For anyone who wants to know the results, I flopped middle set and won. He c-bet flop, and I think I bet turn or river, and he folded. All right, this is a good one. So we're now in the money. We're 10 of 15. What's this? The hijack opens, and we have Queen 5 off in the big blind. And I'm going to send you a link, guys. So don't tell me what you were going to do. Nazim Zahar on YouTube says, hi, Gareth. Hi, Nazim. How's it going? So, right, I'm going to send a link. Click this link and tell me what you would do in this spot. We're 10 of 15. So we're in the money. And we've got Queen 5 off in the big blind. Mender Master 9, who I think is a reg from memory. I should have him color coded, but as you can see, no one's color coded. Good tagging system. This is where we're at. All right. What I always like is that there's not just one clear answer. I mean, it seems to be very clear at the moment, but there are some of you who are going for something different. Oh, and another one. There we go. Look at this. 3-betting. Your 3-bets out in the chat. All right. So, as I said, if you've just joined us, we're 10 of 15. We face the hijack open, and we're in the big blind with Queen 5 off. And the question is, do you want to fold, call, 3-bet, or jam? And this is where we're at the moment. We've got 10 folds, 3 calls, 2 3-bets, and 0 jams. Slightly disappointed to see no one went for the jam. Let's have a look at the solution. Rick Bleakley says call. Rick, if you just joined us, there is a link to click on. If you can't see it, I'm going to post it again. Click that link and add your thoughts to add to one of these options. All right, so let's close this and bring up the sim. Where's Queen 5 off gone? There it is. Let's not spoil it. I think you might have seen it already. Hopefully not. Is this it? Is this definitely it? Was there a guy on? Was there really a guy on no bigs? Oh yeah, 3.3 bigs in the low jack. All right, that's going to make things interesting. Funny Money says post flop out of position. Queen 5 off feels bad, man. Lol. Yeah. I said 3-bet, but I thought it was to a limp. No, he's okay. Well, we couldn't 3-bet if it was a limp, right? Because a limp would be the first bet. It would be matching the big blind, which is the first bet. So, but I understand where you're going. But yeah, if it was a limp, I don't think we'd want to raise this hand over a limp out of position. But let's have a look at the solution against a min raise. So first of all, let's have a look at our risk premium. Big blind versus hijack, 7%. So not as big as it was on the bubble, of course. You know, I just said about, I'm going to get this wrong again, but the risk premium is really high on the bubble, and then it drops down, right? And then it starts to come back up. And so we're starting to come back up because we're 20 paid, and then there's only 15 players left. And so our risk premium here is 7%. Our opponent's opening roughly 23%, as you can see. What do we make of this range? Kind of high card heavy, which makes a lot of sense. You're going to see this a lot, in ICM situations. The pseudo connectors start to drop out. 22 big blinds, not opening Jack 8, 9 8, 10 8's indifferent, Jack 10's indifferent, 8 7 7 6. All these lower pairs, just absolute garbage. So just to be aware of that. For anybody who did vote for call, this is where the results ended, by the way. So 11 fold, 5 call, 2 3-bet, 0 jam. This might come as a surprise. this is our calling range in this spot. Again, I can't remember what accuracy this ran for, but I think it needs to run for a little bit longer. But one thing I'm going to say about sort of the accuracy and things like this is you're not trying to play it perfectly. So if you fold queen nine off here, or you 3-bet queen nine off here, it doesn't really matter. It's not really affecting the overall EV of a strategy. If you call 8-3 suited or you fold 8-3 suited, well, it doesn't really matter. The key thing is that you understand the sort of the shape of the range, the kind of hands you want to 3-bet, the kind of hands you flat, the kind of hands you jam, and the kind of hands you want to fold. And if you look at Chippy V solutions at 20, 25 big blinds here, queen 5 off, probably not going to be a fold versus a min raise. But here, 100%, because you remember that risk premium. We're out of position. It's harder to realize your equity out of position, and we've got to try and realize an extra 7%. So even though we cover him, we still have a risk premium. I think this is one misconception that because we cover him, we can apply loads of pressure to him. But if we lose a big pot to him, our equity drops, right? If we get all in somehow, we are going. Our equity is, we're going to lose a lot of equity. Hattie said, I'll be folding all offsuit up top, up to 10x. Okay, good. That looks good. Barring the ace region. Yeah, I mean, you can see that. Interestingly, like ace 6 off, 3-bet or fold. Ace 3 off, ace 2 off, 3-bet or fold. Like, pretty interesting to see that, right? So only like ace 7 and ace 5 off, maybe ace 4 off as well, want to defend, continue at full frequency. I think the suited 10s, 9s, 8s, and 7s that don't continue are pretty interesting here as well. But the main takeaway here is, again, understanding the shape of the range. The suited hands, you're going to continue more. It's easier to realize equity with suited hands. They do a better job of doing that. Offsuit hands, not very good at realizing equity. Dan Borzuri and Dan Rakin, thanks for the follow, guys. So yeah, offsuit hands just become garbage, or you can turn them into a bluff like the king 5 off, king 4 off, king 7 off, stuff like that. So the kind of hands we want to jam, you've got the suited 10s, you've got ace queen off, bit of ace king off, pocket 4s, and you've got some sort of suited wheel aces as well. 10s, 9s, and 8s a little bit too. When you see this, like 7s, 6s, 5s, you're looking for a pattern. You're like, right, what's going on here? Why 8s through 5s? Why are they not full frequency jams and yet 4s is? Now, generally, what this is going to mean is that the opener is going to open a hand like 5s and fold it, and a hand like 6s and fold it. If they don't, then obviously you can jam like 6s and 7s for value because they're calling 5s and 6s. But what you need to think about is, are they opening 5s? Can I get them to fold 5s? If we jam, and that's why 4s is in there. We don't jam 7s because I imagine they're going to call with 8s plus, and so we're not generating folds from any better pairs. Let's just see if that's the case here. Yeah, so it's a really obvious pattern. Whoops, that's not right. Really obvious pattern when you see some pairs jam and then some pairs in the middle not jam, and then pairs start to jam again. It's because of the kind of hands your opponents are going to call with. So if they're calling 8s plus, we want to jam, as you can see, 9s plus and a bit of 8s as well. But we don't want to jam 7s and 6s and 5s. But we jam 4s because we can get them to fold 5s, 6s and 7s. We jam these suited wheel aces again because we can get them to fold a lot of these better ace-x hands, and we block the hands that will call, and we've got better equity against the pairs than, say, if we jammed like 6s, for example. And also, we jam those ace-x hands because they're not opening too many like 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x hands, I believe. Yeah, so there's no 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x offsuit hands apart from ace 5 off, and suited, same with the suited aces, but king, not many of these 2x, 3x, 4x, or 5x hands going for the open, and also the pairs, right? So they're not raised folding 2s, 3s, and 4s, so we don't have to worry about blocking those hands. So that's just some ideas. Of course, like when you jam these hands, you can block hands that call. You've got reasonable equity when called, and you can get a lot of better hands to fold. So when you jam a hand like king 10 suited, your opponent's folding king queen, king jack, and a lot of ace-x hands. But if you jammed, say, ace jack suited, they're calling with ace 10, so that's reasonable. They're folding ace jack off, but you're just going to get called by all of the better ace-x hands. All right, so somebody once said to me, that person will remain nameless, but I'm sure you can guess who it is. Logic is all you need to win poker tournaments. Logic is all you need to win poker tournaments. So you can think the logic through, and this is something I talk about in my book, The Final Table, in case you haven't realized yet. It's going to come up here. You can pre-order it from the D&B website, which is very exciting. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's all about logical thought process. So when you just choose a hand, right, in this range, you go, right, why are we jamming pocket fours? Well, because we can get 5s, 6s, and 7s to fold, and we deny equity to all of these hands. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. So why are we not jamming 5s, 6s, and 7s? Well, because those are the kind of hands we're trying to get to fold, and when we do jam, we're only going to get called by better. That doesn't sound too good. Now, sometimes you can say, okay, when we jam here, you're only getting called by better. That's what fold equity is, right? So sometimes you can, of course, you're going to get called by better hands. But it becomes more obvious when you're not jamming ace-jack suited, for example, because you're only going to really get called by ace-queen plus and pairs. Funny Money says, the chips lost are more valuable than the chips won. Very true. Or true. My wife picked up on this the other day, and she said, very true. It can't be very true. It's either true or it's false, right? It can't be a little bit true. Baymwat, I don't know how to say that, I'm sorry, says, hi, looks like a promising stream. I hope so. We're only on hand 2, and we've been going for 36 minutes, so now might be a good time to move on. But yeah, that's the general idea. So shout out to everyone who said fold. That is correct. If you said call or 3-bet, hopefully you now know that you shouldn't be doing that for next time. All right, next one then. So we're now 10 of 10. We're on the final table bubble. Things haven't gone particularly well from 15th. I don't know what happened actually. But this is where we're at. And the question now is, what do you want to do here? So I'm going to find the link for you guys. 1 second. Queen 4 suited in the small blind. And let me grab this link for you guys. So what do you want to do here, guys? You are 10 of 10. I'm going to post the link in the chat. Click that link and tell me what you would do here. Do you like a fold? Do you like a limp? A call? Oh, well, I'm not sure why the call is in there as well. That should have been deleted. That's a mistake. Yeah, what on earth are we going on? Right, let's fix this, because that is ridiculous. I have no idea. Let's see. Fold, limp, raise to 2.5 big blinds, or jam. I think those are the options, to be honest. There's certainly the options in Menti. All right, let's have a look. This is the results, guys. Look at that. 1 fold, 4 limps, a couple of raises to 2.5 big blinds, and 6 of you want to jam. Mitch Filler says, on the last hand, I clearly defend too much on the big blind then. Yeah, so be careful with that. This is understanding the stage of the tournament and what your risk premium is really, really important when it comes to understanding how to defend in the big blind. There's quite a few big blind defense examples in the new book, The Final Table, sort of explaining the why, understanding that what your risk premium is and what that means to your defending range. But yeah, just because he had fewer chips than us, let's just go back and have a look at this hand. He had slightly fewer chips than us. We have 24.1 bigs. He has 22, right? That doesn't suddenly mean we have no risk premium against him. We still have 7% risk premium against this player. Okay. Mr. Follow. Wow, missed quite a few here. Sue Ranger, Razzler, Not Too Shaby 1284, and Varun for you all. Thanks for the follow, guys. I appreciate that. We got over 3,000 followers last time out, which I'm ecstatic about. We're slowly approaching, I think, like 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for doing that. What else is going on? I think our Facebook group is growing to 4,500 members. So that's awesome. If you do want to find out more, If you're watching on Twitch, just type in command. In fact, I'm going to do it. Command FB group. This is my free Facebook group where you can learn all about tournament poker. I had a few people in there recently saying, I don't want to learn about tournaments. I just want to learn about cash games. I'm afraid you've joined the wrong group. This group is just for tournament poker players. Most of the players in there are recreational part-time players, and that's mainly who I work with to train and play like the pros. You know, that's what they're in there to do. So yeah. All right, what did we got? So 1 fold, 6 limps, 2 raises, and 8 jams. Okay. All right, so this is where we're at. So the main move, I hate that word in poker. It's not chess. The main move is to jam, right? As you can see, 34.4% jams. We've got 16.9% raising. Actually, that is interesting, and 9.8% calls. Very often when you're playing shallow like this, you see a very polarized limping range. Like, so you would limp like the top to call off, and you would limp the bottom. But you can see how many hands fold here. You can't limp like a Jack-6 off or a 9-3 suited, 8-3 suited. But what we've got here really is a very polarized raising range. This probably does a better job of it, sort of explaining this. So like your probably raise calling the top up here, like 7s plus in these suited hands up here. And then you're going to raise fold the bottom. In fact, we can see if that's true. Let's see. Yeah. So we're going to raise call any hand like better than King 10 off and King 9 suited and 7s plus, and we're going to raise fold the bottom. But this is obviously if our opponent's jamming this range. And again, I feel like this needs to run for a higher accuracy. I think we'll see some hands drop out. But again, like we're trying to look at the sort of the shape of the strategy rather than like this is exactly what it's going to look like. Because in practice, it's not going to look like this, right? Mitch Villa says, yeah, I think I'll understand more when I've seen your risk premium video. Thanks. Yeah, definitely check that out. It's on YouTube, available for free. Learn about risk premiums and bubble factors and how they affect your strategy. Okay, yeah, so I think this is quite an interesting spot because of how much more raising there is. I thought it would just be limp and jam. So yeah, as I said, like limping 7s plus and King 9 suited and limp calling and then just limp folding the bottom. But we got a lot of jams. We can jam even as strong as Ace King off here. We're jamming a lot of the suited stuff. We had Queen 4 suited. I did actually jam in game. And again, like you can apply logic to this. You can say, right, if we jam Queen 4 suited, can we get better hands to fold? We can get 2s to fold. We can get some Ace X hands to fold. We get a lot of the Queen X, the better Queen X hands to fold, which seems to be like a pretty big win. And then we've got okay-ish equity when called. All right, we don't want to obviously see like a big pair or a king, a Queen X hand that's better than ours, or any Queen X hand that they call with is going to be better than ours. But against any other hand, like it's reasonable, like it's okay, it's good enough, basically. But yeah, big sort of bias here towards or skew towards shoving these suited hands down here, suited aces. Offsuit ace X tends to just do a lot of jamming, small blind versus big blind, these spots. And the pairs as well. So, yeah, just benefit from fold equity. You could say, like, if you jam 2s, why are you jamming 2s, right? You're never going to get called by worse. I mean, you do get called by, like, ace 2. But then every other hand is basically you're flipping against, and it's sort of a fake flip against these suited broadways anyway. Blaze Zabini, thanks for the follow. Okay, so yeah, I think this is quite interesting. I wonder if when we call, the reason why there's not too many limps here and it's not constructed the way I had it in my head was that first of all, we're 10 of 10. Maybe our risk premium isn't as big as we think. But the other thing is when we limp, I wonder if our opponent just attacks like incessantly. Not really. 43.6%. A huge amount. But I guess if you got to be careful with the limping because once you get jammed on, yeah, I mean, this is kind of where my head was at, like King 9, those kind of hands we talked about earlier that seem to be doing some raising, like 7s and King 9 suited would actually just limp call. But again, like this relies on someone shoving 10 deuce off and a bit of this and bit of this as well. So yeah, got to be careful. I would say in practice you can probably shove wider, because a lot of the value from limping relies on your opponent jamming a hand like 10 deuce off or king, what was it, king 5 off, king 3 off, king 2 off, like this jamming range, right? But if they don't do that, if they're not going to attack your limp aggressively enough, then you would sooner just shove in the first place. But yeah, interesting spot. Let's have a look at this. Why is Jack 7 suited a pure jam, but Queen 4 suited is a mix? I mean, great question. I don't know. Let's see if we can work it out. So Jack 7 suited pure jam. Let's have a look at this. So if we shove Jack 7 suited, we can get some better hands to fold, of course, Jack X. There are more like Queen high and King high hands that will fold, right, when we shove a Jack, as opposed to when we shove a Queen. So that's one reason. You see a lot more of these Jack X hands in here. It's going to have better equity when called, because it's slightly more connected. This could be a reason. I'm not I'm definitely going to sit on the fence here. I'm just throwing some ideas out. I don't know the answer, but we're just trying to work it out. We have 2 overcards against calling ranges. So if our opponents, same with Queen 4 suited, but having Jack 7 suited, you're doing, have better equity against 6s, 5s, and 4s than you do with Queen 4 suited against 6s, 5s, and 4s. Chris says that big blind calling range seems way bigger than what I think we would see. This one here. So first is a jam. You don't think they would call like this range? What do you reckon, guys? In the chat, tell me what you think. Does this seem like a realistic big blind calling range, or do you think it's too wide? Because if it is too wide, then we end up being able to shove a lot more. So Chris thinks ace 4 off, not going to be a call. Bymot says it's realistic, in my opinion. Mitch says looks good to me. Funny Money says I think it's pretty close. So, yeah, the thing is, I feel like you guys who are on different sides here could be playing on different sides of the pond where strategies are a bit different. So I think that's reasonable. But that's another reason why when you run these sims, you don't just go, oh, yeah, so I can just shove like Jack 7 suited here, brilliant, or whatever. Or yeah, I can call ace 4 off. I can call King 8 suited, whatever it is. You've got to actually get in there. You've got to dig in and start playing around with the ranges and doing that whole optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic approach that I mentioned. When you do that, when you get in game and you're like, oh, this guy's actually a sicko, he's probably doing this, then you can go with this range. If you think they're an absolute nit, then you got to go tighter. If you think, they play like population, and maybe doesn't shove quite as wide, then you go a little bit tighter than this calling range. Cool. Oh yeah, I wonder if when we limp, right? I just want to see what we do with Queen 4 suited versus a raise. Some jamming, but a lot of calling. It's only a small raise. I think we can get ourselves into some tough spots here when we limp call 2.5x with like Jack 6 suited, 10-5 suited, stuff like that. But yeah, again, it really relies on somebody raising this range. As soon as this range gets a lot tighter, then a lot of these hands are just going to end up being dust. As someone once said, to get in the bin. Right. Where are we up to? Oh, yeah. All right. So we made the final table somehow. We are 9 of 9 now, and 15.4 big blinds opens, and we've got 15.3 in the big blind. Let's find the link to this one. 10-6 suited. Okay, going to post the link again, guys. What do you like to do here? There should only be 3 options: fold, call, or jam. Click on that link and tell me what you would do in this spot. Here's the results coming in. Shout out to all you guys voting in this. It's awesome. Whilst this is coming in, guys, if you haven't done so already and you're watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, and you get notified by doing both of those things when we go live, or when I go live. Maybe we'll have some guests in the future. I'm trying to do this every single Monday, trying to create some free content, free tournament poker strategy content for you guys, long form as well, so and interactive. So you know that every Monday you can be here and add this to your tournament poker study grind. Okay. All right, so we've got 4 votes for fold and 13 votes for call. I think some of you might be about to be surprised by this. Hopefully you didn't see it. All right, let's have a look at our risk premium again. So some big risk premiums in here between the big stacks, right? 55 and 65 big blind stacks, as we would expect. Big blind, who opened? Middle position 1, I think. So our risk premium here is about 7.5%. So earlier on when we had 20 bigs, we had 24, 25, and they had 22. Our risk premium was 7%, but that was with 15 left. Now we're 9 left. And remember that, I'm going to get this wrong every time. The risk premium goes up to up towards the bubble, drops down, but not all the way to 0, of course. And it keeps going back up then goes back up. Well, this is such a rubbish diagram. I've got to find a way to write on the screen. This would be really helpful for this demonstration, an explanation. And then when we get to the final table bubble, then it starts to come down. Which way are we going? Down here. And all the way to when it does become 0, it heads up. So 7.5%. Not only is our risk premium 7.5% this time, but this guy's only opening 14.8%. Earlier on, the guy opening off 22 bigs was opening something like 20 to 25%. So our defending range here is a function of our opponent's opening range, of course, and the odds that we're getting, and then the risk premium, and how likely it is that we can realize our equity out of position against what is a very, 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 very tight range. So let's have a look at this. This is our defending range, and so yeah, most of you went for a call here. Let me show you the results again. Most of you went for a call. Some of you went for a fold. 10-6 suited is indifferent in this spot, and I thought it was a really interesting one. I folded in game. Looks like you can call, but I mean, if you look at ace 8 off, how many of you were going to fold ace 8 off in this spot? Ace 7 off, jack 10 off, jack 6 suited. So let's go back to the situation. So this guy's opening, and how many of you are going to fold ace 8 off in this spot? Ace 7 off, as I said, jack 6 suited, jack 10 off. All of these hands not really loving life in this situation. So 10-6 suited, you can call it a little bit at the time. It's really not going to make much money. If you think this is a really soft tournament, I would just fold this 100% of the time. I really don't think you're going to get run over if you start doing that. Let's have a look. Baymwatt says, so everybody's right. Yeah, everyone was right. It is a mix, but I think if you vote for fold, I would go with that a little bit more. I think population who open off 13 bigs looks so strong. Yeah, I mean he's got 15 bigs, right? But he's 8 of 9, right? He's 8 of 9. We're 9 of 9. But his range is just very, very strong. You're right. It was tight. Let's go back and have a look at it. Yeah, less than 15% of hands. So let me. I want to see if I can do this. Power Equilab has a great feature. It shows you equity realization, but the equity realization map only work. You need to feed in the info, and it changes all the time, so it's not that useful. Anyway, the key thing here. I'm gonna pull this in. That's his range, right? And then 10-6 suited. Gonna have 33% equity. Now I think on the screenshot we should be able to see what our equity is. Yeah, so we only need 18% to call. So we're like, okay, great. 18%. We're way above that. We should be able to realize, what will that be? Like roughly 50%, maybe a bit more, 55. But the thing is, you've got that extra 7.5% equity to try and realize. So it's not, the call odds are not 18%, they're 25.5, and we've got 36 with this hand. So we need to realize something like, I don't know, 60 to 70, 60 to 80, something like that. A lot more of our equity we need to be able to realize, basically. Let's have a look. Mr. Jam says, I thought it was bottom of my range call. Good to see 1 pip out-ish. Yoshi Mando says, can you show the EV of that call? Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, this I do want to run these sims for higher accuracy, but so we might see it's actually losing. Yeah. So you can see 22%. It's like break even, essentially losing 4 cents. If we ran this, really when something's indifferent, it should have the same EV. So I think over time, 1060 could just fall out, right? It could just be a fold. Mr. Mars says, what CI target do you use in HRC? Do you have an experience with different numbers? Yes. So there's 2 things, not just the CI, but also the abstraction numbers. Let me show you what I mean. So the CI number first is this one. I would always run to CI of 5, but I would also make sure the abstractions were high. So I have mine at 4K, 1K, 1K. And this is a really big sim. Like this 10s hand, I think I ran it for less than that because I literally started at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we started the stream at 4 o'clock, and you can see it's still running. But when we run the hand, you can see here flop turn. Yeah, so I did run it for 1K, 250, 250 on that last hand. But I would generally go 4K, 1K, 1K, and I would run the CI to 5. If you want to, you can run it at 1K, 250, 250, and then change the CI to 10 to give you a decent idea. But remember, like this is not telling you how to play perfectly. It's giving you some ideas about how you might want to construct your range, and then you've got to use logic to work out what's going on. Can I show his opening range again? Yeah, there you go. Sternold83 says likely would have been 3-bet non-all-in size at 4.5 to 5 bigs. With this hand, do you mean? I don't think we want to have any small 3-bets out of the big blind here. I mean, I'm happy to be proved wrong on that, but I generally wouldn't expect to see some small 3-bets or 15 big blinds effective. Okay. So yeah, the overall result generally was to call, but I think folding would probably work out better, but it doesn't really matter. They're both going to make 0 probably. Okay, let's go to the last one. As you can see, it is running. Yoshimando, Polkadon, Halloween, and Super Mario Land. Thanks for the follow, guys. Appreciate that. Right. This is the final hand we're going to look at, and I think it is really, really interesting. Let me get the voting link ready for you guys. 1 second. So here we are then, final table. We're 9 of 9. We have an open from the low jack, who is not the chip leader, which I think might, which is probably important information. And I'm going to post the link, guys, so you can get in and post, but maybe listen to what's happening first. So the low jack opens, he's second in chips, raising into the chip leader's big blind. And then the cutoff jams for 18 bigs. And we are in the small blind with pocket 10s. Do you like a fold here or a call? The link is in the chat. Click the chat, click the link, and vote on what you would do here. Now, some of the things you might want to think about is like what's the cutoff jamming, right? What is the cutoff jamming in this situation? If they're jamming a lot of weaker pairs than ours, then we don't want to fold, because very often we're going to call, the original raiser is going to fold, and we're going to be up against, you know, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s. If you think that's what's going on here. Mitch Fiddler says, depends what the button's about to do. The button folded. I just caught the screenshot before because I knew it was going to be a fun one to look at. S&G Magic says fold. Try and go onto the link, guys. I'll post the link again. Here's the results we've got so far. Pretty even split. Well, no, actually. I thought that was a 6, but it's not. It's an 8. 8 of you say fold. 5 say call. Jacko 8900 saying, seems a pretty easy fold. Go with Jacks plus. I mean, just by the fact that we've got votes here that don't just all go for fold makes me think that it's not an easy fold. I think using the word easy makes it seem like it's trivial. Hattie says, you're last in chips. Think it's time to take this spot. Jacko, ace queen suited plus. SNG Manic says, cut off probably flatting 9s and under. All right. Okay, so we got 9 votes for fold and 7 votes for call. The sim is still running. We're at a CI, you can see the CI of, oh, quick, don't show it. With CI of 12, I'm running this to 5, and I can't remember what the abstraction was that I used, but it might have been the 1K 250, in which case it probably isn't worth running to a CI of 5 because the abstractions aren't big enough. So look, Chris Callahan, I agree with Hattie. Cutoff doesn't call much, maybe 1 to 3%. Yeah, we'll have a look at all of this stuff. I think there's some really good ideas here, guys. So let's have a quick drink. Okay, let's just make sure we've got the right person opening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the low jack next to the high jack. Yeah, they call it middle position 2 on HRC. Only opening 25.4% here, right? Let's have a look at their risk premium against the big blind. Really, really high. So they can't open too much because then the big blind 3 bets, they just can't continue too often. I can't remember, though. This is something we won't look at today, but I can't remember if I allowed small 4 bets for imposition because it's quite important. Because if they're only going to jam, call, or fold versus a 3 bet, that's going to change things, right, to their opening range in the first place. Anyway, this is the info that we've got. King Nikos 45 says, call, you probably aren't going to ladder up by folding. Yeah, so the idea of laddering is not something I would ever talk about. The spot is either plus EV or minus EV. If it's minus EV, we don't take the spot because we don't think we're going to ladder. And so, yeah, laddering wouldn't even enter into my vocabulary when it comes to final table spots. It's either profitable or it's not. Now, maybe if it's like super marginal, you can pass this spot, you know, whatever hand you've got, it's marginal, you can pass because you believe that you have a significant edge on the field. The thing is that, or like, you know, 2 or 3 players are just going at it with 60 big blinds, and then one or two of them is going to bust at some point. That's, you know, a consideration. But really, you want to be focusing like, is it plus EV or minus EV, right? If it's minus EV, fold. If it's plus EV, we should call. Stern's a 3 bet all in or 3 bet non all in from the cutoff. Chris Callahan, move your graph. Well, I mean, you could always ask nicely, Chris. You know, there you go. So this is the opening range, and let's have a look at our risk premiums against the cutoff. We're small blind against the cutoff 6%, and then small blind against the opener is 7.9%. Okay, you'll always find this, by the way, that the bigger that their stack is, the higher your risk premium against them. So against the player with the most chips, our risk premium is 8%. Against the player with the fewest chips, which is this guy, our risk premium is this guy. The cutoff, they're jammed 6.1%. Okay, so they jam and cutoff. Who said that there was no calling? Who was that? Sternald83, shout out to you. Look at that, 0.1% calls. This is what the range looks like. So we'll talk about sixes in a moment, but I think that you guys can probably work out why sixes jams and eights and sevens don't. But we see a lot of jamming from queens and jacks, ace king off, ace queen off. We've got ace queen suited. We've got some suited stuff in here, and these suited wheel aces as well. So let's talk about sixes first. Well, when sixes jam, presumably somebody's folding sevens and eights, right? So let's have a look at this. The middle position player, yeah, there you go. So the opener is folding sevens and eights. That's why you can shove sixes, but you wouldn't shove eights because you're just going to get called by nines, right? So again, it comes down to logic. What the hell does that raise mean? Like you raise fold. Not sure what you mean by what. Talking about cutoffs. Cutoff can 3-bet fold, yeah. You can 3-bet fold off 18 big blinds, no problem. What is that what you mean, or you mean something else? Hattie, 8 is bottom of his opening range, so don't want to jam when you have cards from his bottom. I mean, that is true, but I think it's more significant about the pairs. You know, the reason why sixes jams is because sevens and eights fold. When you jam eights, you get called by nines. You don't get any better pairs to fold. Okay, let's move on. So against this jamming range, now this is, you know, perfect equilibrium. It's still running. It's still got some way to go, right? This is perfect equilibrium, and our calling range becomes tens plus, ace queen suited, and ace queen off a little bit of the time, right? So if we think our opponent is playing perfectly, and we think this player is playing perfectly as well, the original raiser, then yeah, and we could maybe pass on ace queen off, but we would go tens plus ace queen suited. So tens looks like a very, very good call. But there's a big caveat here, and that's, is our opponent really shoving ace 5 suited a lot of the time, king 10 suited, queen jack suited, king jack suited? If they are a good player who's been studying, absolutely. But if they are not, then I think it'd be interesting to see what happens to the solution. So we're going to actually do a little bit of this right now and see if we can get it to work. So I'm going to save this here. What we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, I think probably ace king suited goes for a jam more frequently than this. So and also maybe we just halve the frequency of these lighter shoves. I do think nines shoves. I don't think sixes is going to shove. So we'll go in and we'll edit this range, and then we'll see what happens to the EV of calling with tens. This is where the results ended up, by the way. So pretty even, 9 versus 8. So yeah, in an equilibrium world where everyone's playing perfectly, tens is obviously going to be a call. Hattie says, got to go. Great stream, guys. See you later. Cheers, Hattie. Speak soon, mate. Okay. So we're going to change this. So let's say that, well, first of all, sixes can get rid, fours can get rid. We put in like half of ace 5 suited, half of the ace 4 suited. Let's get rid of ace 3 suited, ace 9 suited. I think ace king suited and ace queen suited are going to jam more frequently. And then maybe we go like king jack suited, king 10, queen jack suited, a bit more like this. I don't think tens is going to induce. I do think tens and nines jam. And I think we can get rid of ace jack off and king queen off. Ace jack suited and ace 10 suited kind of by the by. But yeah, let's go with this first and see what happens. Jacko says, could you take a look at the EV of calling tens? We'll look at that in a moment. I've saved it, so we'll load it again and have a look. Mitch says, I can't seem to grasp that jamming sixes is fine, but sevens and eights fold. My brain won't let me, lol. I know it would make sense if I could get my head around it. Well, just logic, right? If, let's say I have sevens, eights, and nines in my opening range, and of those hands, I'm only going to call pocket nines. Which hand would you sooner jam? Pocket sixes or pocket eights? Well, you'd sooner jam 6s because you can get me to fold 7s and 8s. There's no point folding 8s because 6s and 7s are going to fold, so you're not getting any value from those hands. And 9s calls. All right, let's have a look at this, and I want to now. Let's see if this is going to work. Selected subtree, hopefully. Fingers crossed, guys. We get some interesting results. So yeah, just jamming a lot less frequently. The strategy is obviously going to change now. It shouldn't take too long, actually. Yeah, there we go. So ace queen off now drops out, and 10s is still in there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see like ace queen suited now, pretty marginal, and 10s is marginal, but I don't think I would fold. So 10s looks to be pretty good. Let's just take out these completely. Let's put this in, and maybe like 50% ace 10 suited, and like never with these hands. And we'll see like if 10 stays in just because of 9s and the offsuit ace-x. Whoops, let's add this to be 100%. And let's see now. Let's have a look here. Mitch says, thanks guys, glad I'll be able to watch it back enough times for it to sink in. Yeah, you can watch the replay on YouTube and on Twitch for a couple of weeks, I think. Buying White says 10s is always a call then. So it's always a call if our opponents are shoving the ranges that we expected. Okay, right. So now we've adjusted this range, and let's go back here. So like ace queen off, ace jack suited plus, ace 10 suited half the time, king queen suited all the time, 9s plus. Kings and aces induce. Obviously, if like kings and aces jam here, that's worse for our strategy, right? So we are relying on them not having kings and aces. And you can now see it's still 10s plus ace king, but the EV of 10s goes way down, and ace queen suited suddenly drops out. So in GTO land, ace queen off was calling half the time, and it was like 10s plus ace queen suited. We got slightly tighter jamming range. Ace queen suited was starting to fold, and 10s was still a call. Against this jamming range, we go 10s plus ace king. Finally, let's see what happens if they just jam this range just for a laugh. They're now jamming, what is it? 9s plus ace queen. Maybe they don't know that they can 3-bet or flat. Maybe they only have like a jamming range or a folding range. Let's see what happens to the EV of 10s now. Looks to be the same. That's good. Cool. So yeah, 10s, oh no, actually, I changed it, and 10s is now fold. Okay. So 10s is now fold. So this is the point at which you would have to start folding 10s. If you thought your opponent was going to be jamming aces and kings, and wasn't jamming king queen suited and ace jack suited, and that's it. All right. Funny Money says, what about the original opener? How wide are they opening, and how does that play into all this? Well, of course it has a massive effect. They're opening 25%. I can't remember if this range will have changed because of this tighter jamming range. It should have done, but I'm just wondering if it's because we looked at this specific node, whether or not it does. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's their shoving range is a function of this player's opening range and the players behind and the shover's risk premium against all the other players who could call, and it's factoring all of that in and giving us a pretty good idea of what we should be 3-bet shoving. But I wonder if let's use this one. I'm wondering if it is indeed that wide. This was the original range. So shoving some suited wheel aces and the suited broadways and 9s plus, and not shoving kings and aces, shoving some 6s sometimes. And somebody asked what was the EV of 10s. Hopefully we'll see it here. $11.50. So what's that, like 22% of a buy-in, maybe a bit more? Is that right? Yeah, 20%. 20-ish%. Cool. All right. So that's gonna do it for today. As I said before, guys, if you haven't yet done so, hit follow on Twitch so you get notified when I go live. Do the same on YouTube. Subscribe so that you get notified when I go live on YouTube as well. And also I put more content on YouTube. We've got various shorts to go out through the week. If you haven't done so already as well, and you want to, join my free Facebook group for tournament poker content and discussion. You can do Command FB group on Twitch. If someone wants to do that, I'm going to copy it onto YouTube as well. It's not going to work. That's weird. What's happened here? See if we can do it again. Okay. Yeah, it's a free Facebook group. Get in there, get involved, and learn about tournament poker. Let's have a look. Some final comments. Coy Larson says, I often fold what a lot of players call, like the tens. I feel better being the one deciding when to go all in instead of after defeat saying it's okay, I had to call. Yeah, I mean, I would try to, that sounds like a mindset thing, like being kinder to yourself, taking one line over the other. I think if you discover that it's plus EV and you fold, that's a mistake, right? You're leaving money on the table. Master the Chaos says, thanks guys, nice one. Appreciate that, thank you. Mitchell says, thanks for the good content again. You're welcome. We've got the free Facebook group in there. Mr. Jam says, great stream, Gaz, see you later. And Funny Money says, thanks guys. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap things up there. You are really welcome. As I said, hit follow, subscribe, do all of that. Join the Facebook group. And I will see you next Monday for more. Probably won't be ICM, be something else. But check the social media for what the topic is. Styling40s says, thanks, Gareth. I took a lot of notes. Awesome. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.